Hi everyone, TARDIS Guide 123 here, and today I am reviewing the Revenge of the Cybermen and Silver Nemesis box set. You know, some people call it the Cyber Tales box set, so that's what I'm just going to go with, because it basically is two Cybermen stories, so why not? And as you can see on the cover here, you do have the two different designs of the Cybermen from the two stories, which, as previously stated, were Revenge of the Cybermen and Silver Nemesis. So Revenge of the Cybermen is the 4th Doctor one, from back in 1970. It's the only 4th Doctor Cyberman story and the only 70s Cyberman story as well. So that's quite a nice bit of trivia for you, I guess. And, well, if you watch it, you can kind of see why they didn't make another one for about 7 years. And then the 7th Doctor one is the last Cyberman story of the classic run, and it's also kind of the 25th anniversary special. Now, neither of these stories are really favourably looked upon, and I will discuss that a bit more when I go in more in depth on each one, but let's just quickly talk about the two Cybermen designs here. Admittedly, I do have a soft spot for this design. I don't know what it is, but I do quite like it. It sort of reminds me of the Invasion a bit. You can sort of like see that going on there in the helmet, and it's got thicker tube bits going on around there and whatnot. And you've also got the gun in the head, which sort of makes sense to me actually, because I mean, logically, why carry around the gun which you can lose and whatnot? And you know, although to be honest, the Cybermen are sort of like at their most threatening when they don't even have that, when they sort of like just slowly walk up to you like they did in some 60s stories, although they did have sort of like guns in their heads in the wheel in space though. I don't know, but yeah, the gun in the head thing doesn't feel ridiculous to me at all. I quite like that idea. And there you have the Silver Nemesis design, which is sort of like an upgraded design of the Earthshock one. Some similar things there, except the chest plates changed a bit. They got a new gun, they got more ridiculous hands. Yeah, those hands look horrible. But, you know, other than that, it's pretty much what you've seen before. And as for which one I prefer, probably the Revenge of the Cybermen design. So then, let's now take a look at the other stuff on here. So as you can see there, just the 4th Doctor and the 7th Doctor do battle with the deadly Cybermen in these two classic adventures, and it's a PG 2-disc set, 1 disc for each. The side here, you know, pretty much the same that you saw on the front. If you could just get the light on there correctly, there you go. And the back is exactly the same, and the side bit is contains Silver Nemesis and Revenge of the Cybermen there. You can sort of like see the banner bit, and yeah, mostly just black for the most part in the background of that, and then you can see a little bit of blue and whatever the colour is on Silver Nemesis. So yes, those are the two, that's the main box bit, sorry. And now let's quickly get this out, and we will start off by looking at Revenge of the Cybermen.
This is where we've parted company with the TARDIS.
He's dead.
Once the infection develops, they've got a few minutes to live.
I don't believe you've got the plague here, Commander. Sabotage.
Doctor, she's not going to last much longer.
I know, Harry, I know.
Voga.
Of course. Planet of Gold. Cybermen. That's what we're up against.
We are destined to be rulers of all the cosmos.
You tried that once and you were nearly wiped out.
Because of Voga and its gold.
That beacon has to be blasted out of the sky.
Voga will be destroyed.
So then, Revenge of the Cybermen, the first story in this 2-disc set, and it is a 4-parter, and well, you'll see that in a bit, but first let's just take a look at all this stuff. So you've got quite a nice image on the cover there with the 4th Doctor, with, I believe that's supposed to be Voga right there maybe, but I'd have thought Voga would be a bit more broken up, so maybe it's supposed to be Jupiter, I'm not sure. There you have probably Vorus, leader of the Guardians, and there is one of the 70s Cybermen. There you have the Nerva beacon, or the Ark in space. You know, this is sort of like set before, this is on the same location, sort of like a budgetary technique to save money, so they filmed them back to back with the same sets, and this is set way before the events of the Ark in space. So yeah, and then you've also got a rocket launching in the background there, I believe. This is a U yeah, I don't get the ratings either. But anyway, then there's the spine as you saw before. Here is the back, and you can see there by Jerry Davis, who actually wrote some of the earlier ones. He was co-creator of the Cybermen, actually. Co-wrote the 10th Planet and the Moon Base, I believe. But yeah, anyway, he returned for this one, and well, I'll talk about that in a bit, because it makes some things feel even more odd, the fact that he was co-creator. But anyway, commentary by Philip Hinchcliffe, Elizabeth Sladen and David Collins. And then you have Checks, Lies and Videotape, which is sort of like a nice little documentary looking at the VHS years of Doctor Who, because this was the first proper story to be released on VHS. I think it was all edited into one, but nevertheless, you know, first VHS story, so that's quite momentous for that. And then you have The Man and the Tin Man and the Witch, sorry, which is the standard making of stuff. Location Report, which, if you've got the Ark in Space DVD, it comes with that same feature in it. I don't think it's called the same thing, but it's sort of like an interview with Tom Baker while they were in the caves, and Radio Times Billings, etc, etc. Opening it up now. Let's spin that around. You can see there's one disc there, and there is the booklet. Mine's a bit bent at the side here, unfortunately. Not sure why that is, but well. And there you can see all the stuff on there. If I then open it up, you can see the special features once again, and then on the back, as I said before, it is a 4-parter. So, for my thoughts on the story itself, let's just put that down there. Now then, I have very mixed views on this one. Some people think it's absolutely atrocious, some people enjoy it, and you know, I personally think that it is probably the worst of Tom Baker's first series. But you know, given the strength of what it's up against, you've got Ark in Space, Genesis of Daleks, Sontaran Experiment is rather a forgotten gem, and Robot is quite a good start, but you know, the effects fail that one a bit in the giant robots. But anyway, you know, Revenge of the Cybermen sort of like closes off that first series, and admittedly, it isn't the best. I think its main problem is the Cybermen themselves. Now they're just portrayed as a little bit too emotional. The Cyber Leader is, you know, there's a very odd sort of like voice going on there as well, and you know, hands-on hit things. It's just really odd. And then you've got the dialogue as well for the Cybermen really does not feel like classic 60s Cybermen, you know, when they're at the top of their game, when they really are sort of like getting the horror element, that whole body horror idea across. But you know, here they're just treated as robots really, which is very odd given that Jerry Davis was co-creator of them, and he's just sort of like forgotten a whole side to the Cybermen, the side that made them scary, which made them interesting in the first place. The whole idea that they're emotionless killers that were once like us, that have now been changed and whatnot, and that's just been forgotten here for whatever reason, and you basically just get a bunch of robots. Now maybe if they did include a bunch of robots instead of the Cybermen, this would have gone down a bit better. It'd still be a rather bland and average story, but at the same time it wouldn't have been a annoying story from the point of view of cyber continuity and whatnot. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that. It's also a shame that it's Tom Baker's only encounter with the Cybermen. But you know, you got one board in Pertwee, I guess, so that's good. Although, arguably, the Five Doctors is the John Pertwee Cyberman story, but you know, that's a discussion for another day. And then you have the Guardians in this, sort of like the characters who are on Voga, and you've sort of like got a whole civil war going on there, kind of, but you're not really too concerned about that. The characters up on the beacon are far more interesting. You've got the idea of a disease running rampant, which is quite interesting stuff, especially in part 1. You've got a lot of good, strong stuff to be had there. Then it sort of like shifts to the surface of Voga, where there's less interesting stuff going on. Kellman's sort of like triple cross is quite an interesting thing there, and how he dies saving Harry, that's quite good. And he is wonderfully played as well. That is one of the story's saving points, actually, the character of Kellman. I quite like his character. However, I feel that he was cut a bit short. I think he could have had a bit more going on with him. But yeah, for what there is, it was quite interesting stuff. And then there's Sarah and Harry, of course. Harry is a wonderful companion, and you know, he gets to do quite a lot of good stuff in this. I feel he sort of like gets to go down on the surface. He has some funny lines, and of course, there is the bit where the Doctor shouts, "Harry Sullivan is an imbecile." And that's just little bits like that, which are very good, and to just show why this TARDIS team works so well with the Doctor, Sarah, and Harry. And then Sarah also has some interesting bits. And there's the whole thing where she gets poisoned, whatnot, has to go down to the planet with Harry. That's all very good stuff. And you know, Elizabeth Sladen is of course wonderful as Sarah. So all that is very good in Revenge of the Cybermen. But at the same time, you know, I just can't really enjoy this story as much as I probably would like to, because of the whole Cybermen thing putting me off. And yeah, I think that's just the way it has to be. It's nice that the Cybermen are kept in the background for the most part, though. You know, it didn't really arrive until part 2, and you got the whole build-up of that. But at the same time, it's building up to nothing, and really, the build-up isn't treated too well. You don't actually get some tense scenes where they're sort of like Cybermen lurking about, but you know, you don't actually see them. You just sort of like see their feet or their hands, and you know, scenes like that could have been very interesting in a story like this, if you're going to have this slow burn build up to the episode 2 cliffhanger. But instead, you know, you just got them lurking about on their spaceship, waiting to dock, and just basically they're just sitting on the sidelines waiting to get involved in the story, but they're not needed yet. And that's basically what it feels like for this Cybermen build up. So yeah, I think it was a good idea, but poorly executed. And that could be said about a lot of Revenge of the Cybermen. It's just some good stuff, but poorly executed. And you know, the Cybermen are probably the worst part of this story. Although I do like the design, as I said before. So then, what am I going to rate it? I think I'm going to go right down the middle with a 5 out of 10, because I do get enjoyment out of this. If I just sort of like put the Cybermen thing aside, I can really enjoy this story, and you know, it might go up to a 7 out of 10 if it weren't for the Cybermen here. So that is my thoughts on Revenge of the Cybermen. Now we go on to the second story in this set, which is Silver Nemesis.
The Nemesis generates destruction. I launched it into space with an orbit that brings it back to Earth every 25 years.
What's really going on, Doctor?
Destiny beckons.
I am beautiful. Am I not?
That lot were only the advance party.
Eradicate the human female.
Right then, Silver Nemesis, the final Cyberman story of the original run, and well, let's just take a look at it here. You've got the Silver Nemesis itself right there, and there you have Lady Peinforte's tomb, a Cyberman, more Cybermen down there with the Doctor there, Ace there, and Herfuluris? I don't know. The German general guy who wants to bring on the Fourth Reich. Yeah, him. And this is a PG. The Sylvester McCoy years 87 to 89. Here is the spine with the silver banner along there, to entertain logo, etc. And here on the back you have story details. So written by Kevin Clark, and I think this is his only contribution to the series. And they have commentary by Sylvester McCoy, Sophie Aldred, and Andrew Cartmel. Industrial action, which is cast and crew looking back on the making of the story, and then deleting extended scenes and all the other usual guffins. And here on the inside we have disc there, same image as the front, and the booklet there, once again with the same image as the front. Now if I just take this out, you can see there, there, and there. It is a 3-parter. So yes, let's now talk about Silver Nemesis. Well, is it better or worse than Revenge of the Cybermen? Sadly, it's worse. You know, it is quite a ridiculous story in a lot of ways. There is some fun to be had in it, and once again, if you just sit back and ignore, well, most of it, you can actually have a pretty good time with it, but at the same time, there's just so much not right with it. I mean, the Cybermen themselves in it sort of like come and go throughout the story, and you know, it's just really loads and loads of random ideas thrown in there, and it doesn't really have any particular focus. It doesn't know what it's supposed to be about. You know, you sort of got the whole idea that the Doctor is God going around, which is very odd, I guess. I don't know. I don't like the idea of the Doctor as this all-powerful figure. I prefer him as just, well, a Time Lord who ran away because he wanted to see the universe. And, you know, while they tried to imply during the Sylvester McCoy era that there was something more about him, and while, you know, I was fine with that idea, I think here it was just taken to a bit of an extreme, and the silliness of the story didn't really help. Because I think there's far too much going on here. You've got Cybermen, you've got neo-Nazis, you've got these Jacobean characters just coming around, you've got scenes which really don't have much to do with the story and just thrown in there for comedy, such as you know, Lady Peinforte randomly driving this lady, and you know, while it's good comic relief, it is very funny. At the same time, you just think it's only a 3-parter. You really need to get on with the story itself, and the story itself is pretty much a copy of Remembrance of the Daleks. How they both went out at the same time, I've no idea, because basically you just got the Nemesis instead of the what's called the Hand of Omega, and you know, that is quite unfortunate really, because there could have been it's Remembrance is such a great story, and then this one pales in comparison despite being a similar thing. And while it doesn't have 2 factions of Cybermen, thankfully, it does however have the other 2 factions of the neo-Nazis and the Jacobean characters, Lady Peinforte and her servant, who really do serve no purpose in the whole story, to be honest. And then while there is sort of like a hint that Lady Peinforte knows who the Doctor is, and that's sort of like expanded upon in The Curse of Fenric, at the same time it just doesn't really work. It doesn't, just nothing in this story gels. It just feels like a big mess, a wibbly wobbly tiny whiny mess. I'm sorry, I had to, but yeah, it is really just a mess of a story. And you know, while there are some good scenes in there, you've got Ace taking down the group of Cybermen. That is all very good stuff. It's a very tense scene as well. Although, why is she getting on with that and the Doctor's just down there, while none of the Cybermen seem to go for him for some reason, which is a bit odd. But yeah, it just, as soon as you start thinking about the story and picking it apart, the whole thing just falls down. The neo-Nazis stay around waiting on. They're sort of like, you think their story's going to be over, and then suddenly they're kept alive for some reason and they stay on for a bit longer. Just none of that whole thing works really. And then Lady Peinforte's descent into madness, and you got this very odd showdown at the end where the Cyber leader could easily just shoot everyone and have the Nemesis. I'm not sure whether that was a problem with direction or a problem with writing, but this story just has a lot of problems which are so glaringly obvious. It is unfortunate, and yeah, as a 25th anniversary story, it is shockingly poor, I will say. It's just, admittedly, you know, I hate saying all this bad stuff about it because I do have fun while watching it, oddly enough, which is, I don't know, it's just mad how I enjoy this story despite there being so much obviously wrong with it. But you know, I am going to go with a 5 out of 5 once again, although I will say Revenge of the Cybermen is better. See it right down the middle once again, because I still do enjoy it, even though it has a lot of flaws, and you know, most of you probably won't be able to get over those flaws and For those who dislike this story with a passion, I really do understand that. For those of you who enjoy this story, I kind of understand that too. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on Silver Nemesis. So now let's pack it away and talk about the box set overall quickly and whether you should buy it or not. Here we go. Honestly, I would say save your money for something else, unless you really do like the Cybermen, in which case, yeah, you might as well go for this, or if you're a completist, just trying to complete your Doctor Who collection. But yeah, at the same time, you know, overall the box set is getting a 5 out of 5. Although there is a good special feature in there, that check, slice and videotapes one from Revenge of the Cybermen, which I was talking about earlier. It's a very interesting special feature. It's probably one of the most interesting parts of the set, and of course the 4th Doctor, Sarah and Harry, work very well together. That's very good. 7th Doctor and Ace are a great TARDIS crew. That's very good. But the stories themselves, once you get beyond those things, are just rather poor in quality, I guess, which is all I've got to say about the Cyber Tales box set. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this review, everyone, and whether you decide to buy it or not, thank you for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye everyone.